Mr. Hartford Positive, William Moffat Jr. here again on the scene outside the Hartford Police Station of Connecticut. That's right, on High Street. And it's funny, man, because I'm pretty fucking high. But sadly not high enough to deal with, again, judging up the bullshit of Hartford police and their dirty little secrets. So it's another patented Thin Blue Lie Thursday. Sometimes it's Tuesdays. It's usually Tuesdays, but today is a Thursday, right? So I might get to a bit of a rant, but first I want to read an article from the New Haven Register. This is written by Andy Tblt, who, I've read. He used to have his own sort of blog called Cool Justice. He sort of was like a bizarro version of Ken Brookman, or just like the regular older version of me. He did a lot of like independent private investigating journalism, kind of exposing sort of police corruption and histories that, you'll see maybe occasionally get lip service to and older articles, but the thing you realize is there's always this historical amnesia that comes with when a new batch of journalists come up. And it's not like things that were done in the past were resolved. I'm talking metaphoric here about, America, the American dream, but I'm also specifically talking about the Hartford Police Department and mistakes that were not just mistakes. This isn't Ronald Reagan. I'm talking disastrous crimes against humanity that Hartford police officers were allowed to commit in the 90s because they were allowed to commit in the 80s because they were allowed to, a history of overseers who were allowed to rape and kill the slaves, the enslaved people they were put to be the Gestapo sort of wardens of. America hasn't grown that far. God bless Hartford Police for trying to do their best thing. Again, the officers who were decent of heart, who think they're doing what's right, who don't understand the institution and the histories and the cult. So here's the article. I'm not even gonna do my little asides where I make addendums because this guy fucking keeps it real enough. So this is from 2013, October 14th, New Haven Register. Opinion. Cool Justice states, how fitting that the sun's finally coming out today, exposing the light. I said I wouldn't ad-lib. Okay, here we go. Authors note Bonnie Jean Forshaw was granted clemency on October 9 after serving 27 and a half years on an inflated charge of first-degree murder for an accidental shooting. The prosecutorial misconduct was not an isolated incident. So, the Bonnie Forshaw debacle was not necessarily an anomaly for Hartford homicide cases. Rather, it might reflect business as usual. Withheld evidence, rubber stamp warrants, and manipulation of the court process to serve the nasty ends of those in power. Make the charges and then do whatever it takes to gain a conviction and advance careers. Actual guilty or innocence are not necessarily in play at Hartford Superior Court. No wonder current Hartford State's Attorney Gail Hardy was compelled to pull out a big gun. Deputy Chief State Attorney Len Boyle for Forshaw's clemency hearing. Admitting a mistake could threaten normal business practices. Hardy, who stumbled through her testimony about visiting the victim's family, needed all the backup she could get to divert attention from transgressions by the prosecution. For example, after the Assistant State Attorney James Thomas stepped on Forshaw in 1986 to advance his career, Thomas knowingly arrested the wrong man in a gang murder, withheld exculpatory evidence, and kept the wrong man in jail for several months. The wrong man ultimately settled a federal civil rights suit for $600,000. Enrique Rick the Ruler Ramirez was shot in the back and killed in Pope Park on June 17, 1997. By this time, Thomas had become the top state prosecutor in Hartford. Word on the street is that Thomas's despicable conduct in the murder case knocked him out of contention to ever become a Superior Court judge. The FBI had on its Violent Crimes Task Force an honest and very capable detective from the Hartford Police Department, Nicholas Russo. Russo quickly learned who shot Ramirez and assisted in the arrest 2 days later of Julio Ramos. Thomas had evidence, including eyewitness testimony and a tape recording of Ramos boasting about shooting Ramirez. FBI agents found the murder gun in a storm drain that Ramos described to an informant. Thomas withheld this information from a judge who subsequently signed an arrest warrant for the wrong man, Gilberto Rivera. In an extraordinary court proceeding, then U.S. Attorney John Durham told Judge Peter Dorsey how Thomas built a murder case against an innocent man. Durham, by the way, was the special prosecutor appointed by the U.S. Attorney General to put away rogue FBI agents working for Boston mob boss Whitey Bulger. The film The Departed was based on that case. Does Thomas's conduct sound familiar? In the Foreshore trial, Prosecutor Thomas withheld information that key witness Hector Freeman had been arrested and charged with assault of a police officer. This fact could have been used by a competent lawyer to help discredit Freeman's testimony. In a just world, the honest Hartford detective Russo would have been hailed as a hero, but that's not the way it works in Hartford. While working for the feds, Russo was directed to approach Gail Hardy's constant sidekick, Chief Inspector Stephen Kumnick, about helping to investigate corruption in the Hartford PD. Kumnick helped all right. U.S. District Judge Janet Hall told how Kumnick helped in a series of rulings regarding Russo's successful civil suit against Hartford police officers who threatened him for investigating corruption in the department. Then Hartford Police Chief Joseph Crowell, quote, learned on October 30th, 1997 that Russo had approached an investigator in the state attorney's office, Tim Kumnick, about working with Russo in the federal investigation of HPD corruption, Judge Hall wrote, quote, Crowell learned of this from two HPD officers, Detective Robert Lawler and Sergeant Chris Lyons, who were possible subjects of the corruption investigation. Quaffrell telephoned Russo while Lawler and Lyons were in his office. Russo testified that Quaffrell said to Russo, quote, I have a couple of detectives want to kick your fucking ass. How did Lawler and Lyons find out about Russo's plea to Kumnick for help? Kumnick ratted out Russo to fellow detective James Ravella, who is now the Hartford police chief. Quote, in turn, Judge Hall wrote, quote, Detective Ravella notified, end quote, Lawler and Lyons. Notably, then Hartford Chief Quaffrell did not arrest Lyons or Lawler for threatening Russo. Lawler, known as RoboCop, would gain notoriety in 2005 for fatally shooting 18-year-old Jashawn Bryant and wounding another man. Lawler was eventually charged with manslaughter and acquitted by an all-white jury. Russo ultimately won his civil suit for $600,000. Before and after, though, there was payback. Shortly after being threatened, Russo was taken for a ride by two high-ranking officers on orders from Quaffrell. Quote, Russo claims that he did not speak for fear that he would be pushed from that car, end quote, Judge Hall wrote. Authorities learned Russo had become addicted to Tylenol with codeine on the job. Hartford PD enlisted the aid of the Drug Enforcement Administration to nail Russo. Rats on fucking rats. I mean, that's my commentary, sorry. They seized pharmacy records without a warrant. A superior court judge correctly threw out the evidence. Ultimately, in a ruling that fails to pass the smelly skunk test, a legal term of art, the Connecticut Supreme Court contorted itself in ways that shamed the Pelobius dancers. The state Supreme Court ruled that bad cops weren't really conducting a criminal probe. They were just enforcing, quote, administrative regulations, end quote. Today, because of dirty Hartford cops and prosecutors, Connecticut citizens have no Fourth Amendment protection against searches and seizures of pharmacy records. Kumnick, meanwhile, rose to the occasion again on Foreshore's clemency hearing. He just couldn't recall many details about his role as a Hartford police detective in the Foreshore case. Before becoming an inspector, Kumnick was a Hartford cop for 20 years. Asked by Erica Tyndall, chair of the Board of Pardons and Paroles, if he had any idea what was going on from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m., while Foreshore was held in a room at the HPD after the shooting, Kumnick testified, quote, no, I don't, end quote, quote. She may have been sitting in the interview room without anybody talking to her, Kumnick testified. We can't force them to do anything they don't want to do. Yeah. Anybody hear the ring of truth in that? Let's go to the Blue Note, now codified as the authoritative statement on the Foreshore case. Foreshore's original attorney has filed motion to suppress a statement she gave under duress. Her statement, Judge John Blue noted, ends with the following sentence. Quote, Detective Murdoch had advised me of my rights. I don't wish to waive my rights in signing this statement. Unquote. No questions whatsoever were ever asked about this at trial, Blue wrote. The public defender, Blue wrote, unaccountably withdrew the suppression motion immediately before the officer had obtained the confession. John Murdoch began to testify. Officer Murdoch, Blue wrote, related that he began to interview Miss Foreshore at approximately 2 to 2:30 a.m. She wrote her statement out by hand but didn't sign it. Statement was introduced as a full exhibit read to the jury, all without objection. The statement begins with the notation that it started at 7 a.m. and finished at 7:30 a.m. What happened during the intervening 5 hours, we do not know because the public defender asked not one question about this interval, in spite of the fact that at least some innocent people might confess to killing their own mothers after being interrogated between 2 and 7 in the morning. Hardy and Boyle grossly overplayed their weak hand, exposing tragic flaws in their own credibility. Hardy admitted she was only able to reach the victim's family with the help of Bonnie Forshaw's defense team. Hardy met last year with Tamara Miller and other members of Joyce Amos, the Human Shield and Good Samaritan who tried to stop her. All right. Boyle, a golden boy in the powerful elite of Connecticut law enforcement, is a former East Hartford cop, federal state prosecutor, state police commissioner, and director of the FBI's terrorist screening center. Boyle admitted to Tyndall, quote, "I was not even involved in this case till a few weeks ago. Clearly, he didn't have time to do the necessary due diligence on the Forshaw case. Boyle made a big point of saying in testimony and filings that a habeas judge, Hadley Austin, determined Forshaw." Okay, so this is, again, a lot of minutia. All right, so then it ends. So yeah, the reason why I bring this up is you remember those names. So James Avella is now a current police chief commissioner. Okay, Robocop Lawler, again, East Hartford cop wasn't held accountable. Okay, you have Gail Hardy, who was the attorney who, despite all of this, was still on her job when she bungled case after case after case, as was revealed recently in the last years. Chris Lyons, again, a dirty cop who came this close to getting nailed the way he should have gotten nailed, when he did nothing when Julio Camacho and his wife helped orchestrate the murder of Rosa and the disappearance, abduction of the love child. And all these things, these rapes, these things that went on, and Chris Lyons just runs away and doesn't get a job at what? Fox News to run their cold case division so he can make sure the news stories are suppressed and kept out of the media. Then he becomes more or less the head honcho at Trinity College, fucking head on campus security. Guess what? When I was a student there, when he was there, and I know a thing or two about the Chris Kenny case, how Chris Kenny was beat up by fucking Hartford fucking students, and how Chris Lyons helped pull some strings with a bunch of other dirty fucks, and they helped pay somebody to testify fucking false evidence, fucking Veronica Marquez, so that Pedro Carrillo would get pastied for the crime so that Chris Kenny's family could fucking have their fucking son not be known for fucking helping the fucking force a woman to suck his dick at the Federal Cafe. At the same night, the fucking another hall brother from Trinity College is pissing on Union Station, and who's he caught by and gives a fake ID to? Fucking James Ravella. So yeah, I could keep going on, but I just wanted to let people know that I haven't forgotten that these things don't just go away, and that these things are happening all over again in Hartford Police, because Hartford Police, unfortunately, there's still so much corruption and rapists and racist and sexist and wife beaters who, they'll kill again, because we've done nothing to stop it, because we never do nothing to stop it, despite the fact that we know. And this was back when journalism was fucking funded properly and was taken seriously, and you could have people like Andy Tebow maybe like get some article in the New Haven Register. You think anything like that would be published now? Trust me, it ain't. Shit, you could talk to fucking Matt Ormseth and fucking Vinny Vella and fucking don't talk to Becca Lear about that. Don't worry, she don't fucking dig that hard. God bless her in the current, but they don't want to fucking dig as hard as fucking crazy lunatics like me want to dig. So I'm gonna keep digging. So stay tuned. And if I'm wrong about any of these things, fucking sue me. And again, I like to remind HBD that they can metaphorically suck my dick if they got a problem with this. So I'm here. I'm out here. Have a blessed day. It's a beautiful one. It's about to get nice. It's about to get hot. Stay safe, because we can't trust these people, especially under the leadership of corrupt, drunk, liar, groomer Jason Stody. We can't. It's decayed. There's a moral rot here. And Mayor Luke Ronan is a spineless coward. And even if we had courageous men in here, the system is just rotted to the bone. It's not a case of bad apples. It's a rotten tree whose very roots need to be yanked out of the ground and the soil fucking purged. Have a good day.